And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Liar, liar, pants on fire, sitting on a telephone wire. Yes! How many times do we say that to each other? How many friends do you know who could take the most minor detail and turn it into this amazing story that happened to them? And you said, yeah, whatever. Then that same strange event might happen to you, and you tell people and no one believes you, but it's true, I tell you. Well, this game is called Pants on Fire, and it's all about lying, or about telling the difference between a lie and the truth. Now, this is not the first time a game of this genre has been made. I think this is maybe the fourth version of this kind of game that I've played. However, it certainly has the best scoring device for it, the Spinorama, or I'm sorry, the Dialorama, and it seems to work fairly well, although it has the same problems that any of these games do. People who can't lie well don't do well at this type of game. But let's look at it. Alright, here's what you get with the game. You get points, chips. The red chips are worth 1, and the blue chips are worth 5. And you know, I don't even remember what chips are worth. I think the green chips are worth 15, and the blacks are 25. Yeah, that is correct. But you know, it would be nicer if the numbers were on them. And you get some pencils, you get some sheets of paper. Everyone gets a sheet of paper and a pencil at the beginning of the game. And they get the cool diorama. Story 1, Story 2, Story 3. And you can say true or false for each one. Alright, how does the game work? Well, let's move this around. In the middle of the table, you'll put 1, 2, and 3. And on each of these, you will put a card like this. And everyone's going to have to think about something that has happened to them with each of these 3 stories. And that's what you have the paper for. Now, some people aren't going to use the paper at all. Other people might write down verbatim what they're going to say. But eventually, we go ahead. One person goes ahead and tells the stories about each of these 3 things. So they say, number 1, something you got for free. And they say, well, when I was in college, I was a poor person, and I went to McDonald's, and after I was done eating, I went back up to the counter, handed in my fry container, and asked for my free refill. When they said they don't give free refills on fries, I pointed out that the sign did not say free refills on drinks. It simply said free refills, and thus I got a free refill of fries. Story number 2, an incident at a drive-thru. One time we were going through a drive-thru, and we were sitting there waiting, and the person at the counter went into labor, and we took us forever to get our food. It was kind of annoying. Number 3, a performance you gave. When I was in 3rd grade, I was giving my piano recital, and I was ready to play the Teddy Bear's Picnic. And I was very excited about it, practiced it for, seemed like half a year, and then at some point in time, I got up and we played it, and I played maybe the very intro and the ending and skipped the entire middle after all that practice. What a disappointment. Now, here's the deal. One of those 3 stories has to be true. Another one of those stories must be false. The 3rd story can be true or false. What do you think, fair watchers? Well, here's the way it works. The first story was true, the 2nd story was false, and the 3rd story was true. And so I will mark that on my diorama. Everyone else marks it on their diorama, and then they show them, and lo and behold, if they are correct, then they get a chip for each correct one that they match. If they are incorrect, well, they get nothing. But if they get all 3 votes correct, they get a bonus chip. If you choose all 3 false and all 3 true, you get nothing, because we're not doing any of that nonsense where, well, at least I'll get 1 right, and I'm very glad for that. And if the storyteller messes up for some reason, everyone gets chips, but that really shouldn't happen. So each person goes around the table. They're the storyteller. Everyone guesses whether they tell things true or false. The advanced scoring, which should be the only way you ever play, honestly, instead of just guessing true or false, you can see there's little numbers here. You are guessing and betting on that answer. If you're correct, that's how many chips you get. If you're incorrect, that's how many chips you lose. Unless you don't have any chips, then you have nothing to lose. And that makes the game, to me, a lot more fun. And there's quite a few cards to pick for different kinds of stories. Each of the cards is double-sided. After a certain number of rounds, the game is over, and whoever has the most points is the winner. What do I think? Well, love these dioramas. They're pretty neat. It's an easy way to mark true or false without people really knowing what you say. The selection for the cards, a time you should have followed someone's advice, a time you had trouble walking, a time there was a very bad smell or odor, a time you saw something you shouldn't have, a time you stole something. All of these are pretty open-ended that you can fit some kind of story in. And when played correctly, this is a lot of fun. Problem is, if you play someone who sits there and goes, an experience with a stranger, well, when I was a kid, there was a... And it's so obvious they're lying. Some people just aren't going to do as well at this game. And good for you. You shouldn't be a liar anyway. But people who aren't creative will also have a difficult time because they have trouble coming up with a story that did not happen. So maybe this will teach you who the liars in your family are, I don't know. But I did find that it's a lot of fun to come up with these stories, and sometimes you learn some really interesting things about people that you did not know. And so I think this is a good party game. It's definitely the best of the lying genre. Hopefully there's no more games that come out in the genre, we'll see. But Pants on Fire, good name, good game.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.